Hello, I'm Joe Rozak, a member of the League of Women Voters of Kitsap. The League of Women Voters does not support or oppose candidates and works to provide information about candidates and issues before the voters. We are interviewing the candidates that will appear on your general election ballot, which you should receive in the mail around mid-October. We are asking them 5 questions. The candidates have 90 seconds to answer each question. Let's get to know Shannon Turner. Shannon, you have 90 seconds to introduce yourself and tell us why you chose to run for the office of Bremerton School Board.
Thank you, Joe. Again, I chose to do this because I have kids that are in the school system. I have a good friend, Ali Rotter, who is stepping down. And I think right now is the perfect opportunity for myself with the experience and the background that I have, coming from the Washington House of State Representatives as a legislative assistant, understanding policies and procedures, and also doing a lot of work within the community. So, and being a father, most importantly, I understand the barriers that our kids are facing. I understand some of the difficulties that our schools are having when it comes to the budgeting portion of it. And then the disabilities. I think we really need to focus on disabilities, and my kids have IEPs. And I think that's something that we need to have more discussion of within the school system itself. And right now, this is a perfect opportunity because I have the experience and the knowledge and the know-how, and I understand how budgeting works. Well, being the student body president for Olympic College for 2 years and 2 terms, so I understand all that, and I love working with kids and students, and especially the staff. It's important that we recognize our staff members as well.
Thank you. All right, Shannon. Now for our first question. What are the educational strengths of Bremerton School District and what are the educational gaps or weaknesses? What ideas do you have for improving performance?
Um, our strength is the diversity that our district provides and a richness that brings that diversity to the classroom environment. And that benefits the educational spirit, the educational experience of the Bremerton students. Another strength is the longevity and experience that our teachers and staff have. People are in the Bremerton School District not because they have to be, but it's because they want to be. Now, saying that, now that presents a challenge as well because of diversity in the Bremerton School District. We're looking at particularly high poverty, high percentage of special education, the language barriers that we have in place, and that creates a challenge of special education and multi-language stuff. So the district, ourselves, our students come into this, and they're already behind because of where they are at and their home standing, so to speak, and where they're coming from in that poverty area. So that in itself, you know, has us playing catch up with them and creates a long-term game plan. So we have to be in it for the long term. Improvement, much of what is already in place because the work that's been done for the last 2 years is really good. You have a strategic plan that provides a roadmap for the tangible goals and expected outcomes and specific measures of progress. And that's critical. We need a leader to lead those efforts, and the school board is committed to that work. In addition to selecting a new superintendent who is awesome, he's great, and I love him, who is on board with exactly what that plan and what that strategic plan looks like, as well as working with the school board. Now, as a new school board director, I would be excited to join in on those efforts.
Thank you. So on to question 2. A district's annual budget shows the board's commitment towards fulfilling the goals of instructional program and for providing for the efficient and effective operation of the district. Regarding the district's budget process, what strategies do you suggest to address any deficits faced in the future, especially related to declines in student enrollment or loss of federal funding?
Very good question, Joe. I think we need to keep the cuts furthest from the classroom and the core instruction. And that's a tricky balance. And that's something that the board itself and has been really good at. And I've said this before. It's a balance that is doable, but I believe the district is again being good stewards in this because you're looking at I like to call it as a surgical procedure. Instead of going in and just opening everything up and going at it, you need to look at it, be precise so that you're not endangering anything else like our programs. Um, and so, with that being said, everything needs to be incremental. I would advocate to continue the trend just as it is with the natural attribution with the further cuts. We also need to be innovative in our programming consistency and then look at new ways of educating students and offering a very unique experience. But something that's not only the students, but we have to attract new students from the surrounding area. Bremerton is booming and it's got a bad reputation for saying that it's gang related and things of such, but it's wrong. That stereotype is so wrong. Bremerton has a rich, inclusive environment that has the staff and the students working together. I mean, look at how successful our sports programs are. I mean, just by that, the inclusiveness and everything, everybody is on board. And so, with that being said, we need to look at different ways of bringing in new funding. But most importantly, we need to bring in more students, being more and letting our community know that Bremerton is the best place to be in this area, in this district. Because when you look at the history of what Bremerton School District provides, it's enrichment. It is truly enrichment, and the community stands behind that.
Thank you. So on to question 3. Against what metrics will you assess district leadership attainment of key goals? How will you know when a program or decision has been successful?
You know, that's where your strategic plan comes into place for both of these. I mean, within the plan, there are stated goals, outcomes, and key performance indicators that the board has to monitor over time. And with these baselines already established within the last year, we need to look at how and track and monitor the work and the share that's been out in the community and how things are going. And I think this is where you bring the community in, and the community attends the board meetings and understands the strategic plan that's in place and how it's being monitored and the checkoffs that we have for those outcomes and everything. And that lets us know where we are at and also lets us know what we need to focus on more. And when you have a superintendent that is on board with the school board and is following this strategic plan, then the district itself becomes very successful, which in turn has our staff members and our students being very successful, and our graduation rate goes up. And our graduation rate is for everybody because it's always inclusive.
Thank you. So on to question 4. The role of the public school district board of directors is to govern by setting policies and making decisions that shape the education of the students. What are some of the key responsibilities of a school director that support successful governance of a public school system?
Yes, that's another great question, Joe, because I tie that in with being student body president at Olympic College, because you have a primary role and as a school board director, it's to adopt good policy that focuses on students and the learning environment, as well as looking at the budgets that support the students and that learning environment. So that final key responsibility is to make sure that we hire the right superintendent so that that superintendent understands what the board and everything else that's in place along with the strategic plan, and saying that that will in turn lead the district in a way that aligns with the vision and mission of the district. And again, this is where you're putting everything in that's already been put in place, and you're bringing the community in. And I think this is the important transparency of it, is the community needs to understand and be educated itself so that everybody is on the same page, going in the same direction, and understands what's happening and what's going on. I think that's one of the key things that makes our school district very successful.
Thank you. And for our final question, what strategies would you employ, excuse me, to foster a positive and inclusive school climate where diversity is celebrated and students feel safe and respected?
we have to keep our policies focused around the students and what we do. I think that's the key thing. As long as we're staying focused on the students and our staff is on board with what we're doing, I think that will be a very successful portion. The Bremerton School District has done a great job in the recent years embracing the curriculum and having that social and emotional learning programs that foster the inclusivity in our schools. And again, it goes back to Bremerton has such a rich environment and everybody is excited. I've gone into the Bremerton High School and I've gone into some of the schools within the district. Our kids are so anxious to learn. And the thing is, you see everybody in harmony, the diversity of it all and everything. Everybody is walking with everyone. Everybody is talking white, black, brown, green, yellow. It doesn't matter. They don't see that. They see the opportunity to learn, the opportunity to grow, and the most important thing, the opportunity to be successful. And we've got a great staff in place, and we have a school board that is focusing on doing this. And now with this superintendent on board, I think this is going to be one of our best and successful years to come.
Thank you. So thanks to you, Shannon Turner, for running for the office and sharing your views. I'm Joe Rozak, and on behalf of the League of Women Voters of Kitsap, thank you for watching, and please share this video. If you want to join the League and help us do this work, consider joining us at lwv.org. Don't forget to return your ballot by 8 p.m. on Tuesday, November 4th. Thank you all.
Hello, I'm Betsy Cooper, a member of the League of Women Voters of Kitsap. The League of Women Voters does not support or oppose candidates, but rather works to provide information about candidates and the issues before the voters. We are interviewing the candidates that will appear on your general election ballot, which you should receive these ballots in mid-October. We are asking 5 questions, and the candidates will have 90 seconds to answer each question. Let's get to know Jenny Farley. Jenny, you have 90 seconds to introduce yourself and tell us why you've chosen to run for the office of Bremerton School Board District, the School Board District Position 4.
Thank you. I'm a lifelong resident of Bremerton and a proud graduate of Bremerton High School from 1997. I've spent over 26 years working at Puget Sound Naval Shipyard, and that has included leadership roles in trade management, project management, and financial management, including managing a $13 million budget. I'm a former student athlete, having played basketball at Olympic College, and have continued to give back to my community through coaching youth sports, working with the Washington State Traffic Safety Council, and most recently mentoring students at Bremerton High School through the AVID program. My experience successfully managing large teams, solving complex problems, and making financially or fiscally responsible decisions for a public agency has prepared me well for service to our community through the school board. Beyond my professional background, I care deeply about this community. I grew up here. I helped raise our children here. We had 2 kids graduate from Bremerton High School, one in 2016, one in 2021. I want every student in Bremerton to feel supported, seen, and prepared for their future. I want every teacher in our district to know that I understand the importance that they hold in our children's lives and that the work that they do every day helps shape our children's lives in ways that most of us will never understand. Running for school board is another way I'm interested in giving back to my community.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
That's great. All right, now let's move on to the first question. What are the educational strengths of the Bremerton School District, and what are the educational gaps or weaknesses? What ideas do you have to improve performance?
One program that two of our children participated in that I believe had a lot of value for the Bremerton School District was the Highly Capable program. It set our children up for success by creating critical thinking, hardworking students who were able to take on many challenges. I also love the arts integration program at View Ridge. I love that what that does for human development, and I love that we're investing in our youth in that way. And I'm about to start my second year as an avid volunteer, and I've enjoyed every moment of getting to know those young adults, learning from them, and then sharing my life experiences with them. The educational weaknesses are most certainly English, language, and arts, or ELA, math, and science, regardless of the grade level. Test scores are what we have to measure the students' grade level knowledge, and as the kids are getting older, their test scores are getting worse. Third of Bremerton High School students are failing in grade level ELA. About 2/3 are failing in grade level math, and a little over half are failing in grade level science. Those are basic high school subjects, and the kids are doing poorly. While we need to invest in all of our kids, I think we also need to invest in the families getting involved in our kids' learning. Maybe this looks like having after school events at elementary schools where adults are reading to kids and showing them that reading is fun. Maybe it looks like getting more STEM related activities or field trips to try to spark interest in our kids.
Okay.
Remember when we had Book It with Pizza Hut and how much fun that was? We have a good community.
Your time is at an end, so. Okay.
Sorry, good.
Good. Okay, question 2. The district's annual budget shows the board's commitment towards fulfilling goals of the instructional program and to providing how you will be efficient and effective in operating the district. Regarding the district's budget process, what strategies do you suggest to address any deficits faced in the future, especially related to declining enrollments or loss of federal funding?
Well, I want to protect classroom resources, especially when it comes to reading and math, and look for savings in other areas first. But I think it's important to be transparent with the community as well, which I don't really believe has been done very well in the past. For example, levy was passed to support the arts, but when money was tight, that's the thing that was cut. Many kids don't fit into the sports mold, and the arts are the only motivation they have to keep going. I'm not really in a position right now, obviously, to know how all the decisions were made and why they were made the way they were. But once elected, I would hope I could work with the board members to think outside the box, work on grants, partnerships, and that efficiency you discussed to work on the right programs, maybe bring some of those arts programs back to the high school in general. I also think if we can bring the reputation of Bremerton School District up, that could help with enrollment. We know the housing market in our area is tight, which means there are kids of all ages here. But in relation to other local schools, with Bremerton's reputation taking that hit, I think if we can repair that, we may see an increase in enrollment.
Okay, thank you. On to question 3. Against what metrics will you assess district leadership's attainment of key goals? How will you know when a program or decision has been successful?
An easy place to look at the metrics is at the Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction, the OSPI report cards. You can look at it for the school district in general, break it down to any school in the district or schools around us and see how they're doing. Look at the test scores and see what grade level knowledge is. The report cards are issued every year and can be used to see the trends, improvements, or where scores are declining. Talking with school staff, teachers to understand real-time learning, to know if what we're working on in the moment is working or if we need to pivot. I think that's also important because our teachers are vital. They know they understand our students, and they're there. They love the kids, or they wouldn't be there. So taking their word for what they're seeing, I think, is important also.
Thank you. Question 4. The role of the Public School District Board of Directors is to govern by setting policies and making decisions that shape the education of students. What are some of the key responsibilities of a school director that support successful governance of a public school system?
I think board members are making decisions, or need to be making decisions, that are putting the students first. We're managing the budget in a way that it supports the classrooms, which in turn supports students. We're holding the superintendent accountable to bringing the vision of raising those test scores in ELA, math, and science to life. We're tracking student progress and making changes when things aren't working. Just as important, though, we're listening. We're listening to the students, the staff, the teachers, the parents, and the community to make sure every child has an opportunity for success.
Thank you. And now our final question. What strategies would you employ to foster a positive and inclusive school climate where diversity is celebrated and students feel safe and respected?
Man, my mind went all over with this one. I loved it. I really love that there's student representatives to the school board. It makes me think, like, what other similar things could the board do or facilitate in order for students to feel like their voices are heard? Our community has a large Spanish speaking population. Are those community members or parents feeling heard? Our community is comprised of many military families. Do we have a way that we're welcoming those kids to their new schools? At any of the schools, but I would think in particular, like elementary, are there any types of, like, no kid sits alone at lunch or whatever programs? Schools are microcosms of the communities that they're in. And our community is a very diverse one. And diversity is absolutely something we should be celebrating every single day. And I think we show a no tolerance for anything but respecting ourselves and each other, which I think inherently leads to students feeling safe. I also believe we support our teachers, staff, and students by ensuring that those staff and teachers receive the training necessary to be that safe space for the students. But that means they have to understand how to appropriately meet the needs of the students. This is an ever-evolving topic, though, because I don't think you can ever let up on that, because the students feeling safe is important to the whole health of them and their school career and how they feel about showing up every day.
Thank you to Jenny Farley for running for office and sharing your views. I'm Betsy Cooper on behalf of the League of Women Voters of Kitsap. Thank you for watching, and please share this video. If you want to help the League do this work, consider joining the League of Women Voters at lwv.org. Don't forget to return your ballot by 8 p.m. on Tuesday, November 4th.